is the KUSI News at 10.
When voters in the city of San Diego made the strong mayor form of government permanent 2 months ago, they also mandated a 9th city council district. Now the question is, where will that district be and who will fill the seat? KUSI's Steve Bosch went looking for answers.
Since the last redistricting 10 years ago, the city's population has increased by 130,000. Asian and Pacific Islanders represent 34% of that growth. We now have large concentrations of Asian communities in Mira Mesa, Rancho Penasquitos, and Carmel Valley.
This would be an opportunity to provide political empowerment for the Asian community.
Vince Vasquez, a policy analyst for National University, is working with the Asian communities to have Asian representation in that 9th council district. The most important qualification under redistricting rules is communities of interest.
Any group that considers themselves a community of interest can actually put forth a proposal to have redistricting rules representative of their needs.
That votes is a community that cares, and Asian Pacific American cares.
Culture could play a big role in why the number of voters has been so low in the past. Many Asians come to the states from oppressive governments without the right to vote and with language barriers.
And they did not have the freedom, the opportunity to choose their own destiny, to choose their own future by voting.
But the coalition says that this year will be different. This year, a Chinese ballot will now be available, joining the Filipino and Vietnamese ballots. The group is also holding registration events throughout the weekend to encourage more to register to vote.
Okay, you cannot be a true American if you don't vote. While you have the opportunity, you have the right to vote.
It is our responsibility that we have to sustain, and we have to preserve and choose the people who are representing you to preserve that for today and future generations.
That's why we have asked our guests, 2 leaders right here in the Asian Pacific community here in San Diego, and they've identified the problems, come up with solutions. So we'll hear about them right now. Mitz Lee, who is the chairman of the board of the Asian Pacific American Coalition, or APAC, and Tim Nguyen, urban entrepreneur who specializes in urban planning and economic development and research analysis. So we have identified the problems, as you first heard, a couple of them at least: language barrier, lack of knowledge, how the system can help them, and politics not being a priority. So let's tackle the first one. Mitz, what about that language barrier? How can we overcome it?
Well, at least now we know that the registrars of voters has translated some of the registration forms first time in Mandarin. The first one is in Filipino, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And during this election, we did a get out the vote campaign and registration, and they really applaud that at least they have those registration that they can be able to register.
Okay.
And so one of those is there's really some of our immigrants came from repressive government and trust in government in giving those personal information as it is required when you sign to register. Is something that we need to address, but having those translated registration, I think it gives them comfort and trust.
And part of that problem too, Mitz, as you mentioned, are the different ethnicities, the different languages that are right here on the campaign hangers that we put on our doors. So there's Vietnamese, there's Chinese, there's Filipino, Japanese, a huge ethnic community. They obviously don't always speak the same language. How do you bring them all together?
Yes, you're absolutely right, Marianne. So San Diego's region has over 300,000 Asian Americans in the metro area of San Diego. And you're right, they're very diverse. And this is because their journeys to America are different. They came here at different times, and they have different language barriers. However, you see, starting to see changes, and especially in the second generation, you see more collaboration. And the reason for that is because of the English language. There's also the cultural bonds, as well as the American values.
And they're more acclimated to the American way of life, the generations that are second and third, right?
Absolutely.
So it's easier to be able to communicate with them?
Yes, definitely. And in my work with the Asian community, I'm starting to see 3 common themes that's facilitating this collaboration. It's civic representation, education, and economics.
Okay, and Mitz, you know, the last Asian leader who was very prominent was Tom Hall, but that was back in the 60s. He was on the San Diego City Council. So how can we encourage and educate and teach other Asians to become leaders within this community?
Well, I think you really need a lot of role models. I ran citywide in 2004, the first Asian American elected in the Board of Education. That was first. It's never been followed. But I think it's a fear factor for people to just get involved in politics. You know how hard it is. When you see negative campaign, you will be scrutinized. Is that really something that you would like to subject yourself or your family? But I think we need to have more of them to come out so that they know that it's something that they need to participate, because I think they will see democracy at work when they consider public office.
Okay, and in addition to what Mitz is doing, Tim, you're also working with the community in Kearny Mesa, right? It's described basically as a hodgepodge of businesses, different languages, businesses moving in and out. What's being done there to sort of unify it and to market it out so that there's some sort of progress and look toward the future?
You're absolutely right. In the Kearny Mesa area, you have hundreds of businesses that in the past 2 decades start to cluster around this area along Convoy. And our goal is to create a district that's similar to Little Italy. This is an area, a neighborhood in San Diego on the outskirts of downtown that has transformed into an economic powerhouse, you say, in terms of neighborhoods. And they use that to attract residents and tourists alike by leveraging their cultural identity and promoting that.